Guys, today I want to talk to you about basically four things that this video is going to entail. What is a Twitch embed? What is the drama that is going around the internet, around the New World Directory and Twitch embedding? What ultimately is content creation, live streaming versus something like this, like a VOD or a video? And then finally, my thoughts on the overall directory structure in terms of and specifically for New World. Now, this video hopefully will be informative, but forgive any brevity, forgive anything I don't really go into more detail on. If you guys want more clarification, we can do that in the comments. We can do that in follow-up videos. We can do that on a live stream. But before we dive in, though, I do want to say that I did talk about this, how embedding isn't just a New World issue. It's actually something directory, kind of site-wide. This is an incentive program for Twitch. I don't see them making a change, even though I think the best solution is to say that an embed does not count towards an active view. That is clearly the right call, but that's going to have to be a call that Twitch makes, because at the end of the day, we've been getting our butts kicked by embeds, not just with the New World, like across the games and the genres. And this becomes a bigger conversation about, like, are MMOs even fun to watch in a live environment? Some people say yes, the majority of people continue to say no. And I'm not here to judge your content consumption taste at all by any metrics or any means. I view live streaming as an opportunity to have a great time with the community, playing together, talking together, and enjoying that. And that's why, for me, when I do the live streams, they're open comms. We're hanging out, we're talking in voice, we're having a really good time. But I'm not under some delusion that this is the next, battle royale. No, it's something much deeper and broader. But I covered this a little bit more over on Ginger Prime, about why Twitch is fake. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll try to include a link in the description for you. Highly encourage you checking it out, because there is the aspect of what Twitch is versus what people kind of believe it to be or wish that it was. And I want to talk a little bit about that in today's video. Now, embeds, if you guys aren't aware, if this is the first time you're hearing of it, you don't know what I'm talking about, let me try to just give you a little bit of context, and then we can move on. First and foremost, if you're watching over on Twitch, you're an active viewer. That's what's happening. Now, you can take your stream and embed it on various different websites. I've been embedded 3 times, and it really helped push the numbers up. But we already have an active and engaged community, so it never felt like an empty chat room. That's kind of the real downside of an embed, is that you end up having an empty chat room, not talking, not engaging in the stream itself. It feels empty, like you're streaming to an audience of 1,000 NPCs. There's nobody really there, but it does make you look like you have a very active kind of room. And usually when you're looking for a stream, I would say you're looking for an active room, and human nature drives somebody to go look for the biggest room. Hey, I want to go hang out into an active chat room. What's going on? Oh, this is big, and then you've seen nobody chatting. So I think also embeds can have a negative impact if you don't have an active community that's talking about the game. So over thousands and thousands of streams over the last several years, we've been embedded 3 times, and it's been wonderful. Like, it literally is game changing. That's why when it comes down to it, getting it embedded on a site is a tool that many people use to take their stream to the next level. Now, a lot of people think this is unfair, and that's where this becomes a gray area issue. That's where this becomes a very nuanced style issue, because a lot of people assume that they're going to have the same growth and success that a lot of the original streamers did. What they did, you could almost count in a way as embedding. They were first. They were the first in the line. And Twitch is a top-heavy kingmaker, largest person is largest person system, and that in and of itself presents the problem. You can't go start streaming years ago before you knew all this was kind of this industry. Well, what tools do you have? Now, I always say that the best thing to do is build out a sense of authority, a sense of knowing everything you can about the game, a sense of welcome, a sense of, in a way, just like a sense of just a human connection in content and content creation. And that's why I always lean into YouTube. I enjoy that. I'm going to work right after I filming this video. And that's because that's life. I don't do this as a living. I do this because I love making videos, and I want you guys to enjoy New World or whatever game that I'm covering on its respective channel. Now, in that same vein, now we start to kind of get into what is the drama here. If you guys haven't seen, a couple of people got called out. Gathalion was kind of talking about this over on Twitter, saying it's bad for the directory, it's bad for New World, and shaming Baggins and I don't know if he shamed Studio Loot, but I've seen other people talk about how like the Studio Loot guys, have embedded, and same thing with Baggins and honestly several others. Like this isn't a situation of it's just like one guy kind of ruining the directory. They're not. These are people who have a lot of baked in knowledge. They run these fan sites, and embedding is a way of them promoting their stream to their community, to the websites themselves, and there's many different ways to do it. Now, Twitch does require that you have at least a window of 300 by 400 pixels visible on screen. You can't be doing these invisible things, but there are people who will do invisible embeds, and that essentially is where it becomes illegal. A lot of people call this view botting. In a way, it's just a level of advertising. The reason why Twitch isn't going to get rid of it, or at least they're in disincentive to make the change, is because it makes numbers look good across the board. This isn't something that's exclusive to New World, but at the same time, going and trying to find everybody who's doing it is probably a lot of work, and maybe I'll go and write a bot that goes out and and finds all the guilty parties. And the thing is I don't view them as guilty, because it's essentially like, hey, here's this tool. It was developed by Twitch. It incentivizes Twitch. It does good numbers for Twitch, but it defeats kind of the purpose on the heart of gaming and what we want this to be, what we want Twitch to be. Very community focused, very building. But that gets into what really is content creation. What is it? And at the end of the day, for some people it's a hobby, and for some people it's a business. Now for me, this is a hobby, this is a passion. But for some people, this is their livelihood and their business. Not justifying it. I'm not saying that you should justify it or excuse it, but you should know that when you think of things in terms of that, businesses are competitive. Live streaming is competitive. If you think that live streaming isn't competitive, you're wrong. Like live streaming is fundamentally in and of its nature competitive. You cannot actively watch more than one. You can lurk on several, and that's where this gets into another gray area, is that embedding in a way is like lurking, only that maybe the viewer isn't necessarily even interested in the stream, where if you have a lurker, they're actively clicking and hanging out on your page. They might go to work. Lurk support within content creation and within live streaming is absolutely necessary. It's massive, and it can be very helpful. But to finalize this all, in this regards, I don't blame anybody for embedding. Being that Twitch has its policy the way it is, and if you are viewing live streaming as a competitive environment and one that you are trying to grow as a business and as a content creator, if you aren't embedding, you can't tell me that anybody else isn't. I know that I've been having our streams get beat up when we're not top of the directory because we don't embed. And the 3 times that we have been embedded, we have been in the top of the directory, and that increases your discoverability dramatically. And because we have an active and engaged community, for us, if we were to continue to embed, which we don't have control over it, this was just something we were trying out for a little bit. Just I wanted to physically know, what is it? What does it do? Because once we realized why we were getting our butts just handed to us across the board, in terms of live streaming, especially because my friend Chris runs the Twitch channel. He's the streamer pretty much all the time. What's the difference? What's happening here? And that ends up being a key difference, because people are going to gravitate to the largest top stream, even if you take out in the embeds and all of a sudden you're well, that person's 1,000 and everybody else is still 100. No matter what, you're more likely to go check out the 1,000-person streamer than anybody else. Not trying to justify it. I'm not trying to say that anybody's right or wrong for doing it. This is just the reality of the situation that we all live in and we face on a day-to-day basis. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you got something good out of this video. Feel free if you need me to clarify anything else. I'm happy to talk about anything and everything with you guys, especially as it relates to the New World Directory, especially as it relates to streaming and content creation. Feel free to sound off and let me know in any comments. You can always hit me up directly on DMs if you don't feel comfortable. If you got a real question, don't be afraid. I will respond to you. I will not shame you. I might not see it right away, but we do what you do. So with that, I got to get to work. Thanks so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care.